Hey, all right. How you guys doing today? So this is an early one. I usually don't do early streams and stuff like that, but I figured out, what, screw it. I'm right now as they're loading up my truck. I was listening to Big J earlier, and he was mentioning something about like automation and stuff, right? Which I talked about that last night with Sirius. And now that kind of posed the question, with this virus, it showed us how vulnerable and exposed our economic system is, you know. And usually during the time of crisis, it tends to show us what we can do in the future if we learn our lessons. So, should we start to abandon the industrial way of thinking, you know? And part of the way, I think the way that we think, the way we see the world, has a lot to do our educational system. Um, because school had never really taught us how to be entrepreneurs. They taught us how to be good employees. It kind of like, you producing certain elements, certain mindset for people to go out there and get a job, to go out there and to depend on the system for their retirement once once they're too old to work. Hey, what's going on, Royce? So now, as things starts to progress, right? Because there's this book I'm reading right now. It's like a whole series with Kisaki. I don't remember, but it's like Poor Dad, Rich Dad, uh, or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, something like that, right? Robert Kiyosaki. Yep, there you go. That's the name, Robert Kiyosaki. And the thing is, the way we think, the way we see the world, shape our reality. So then, therefore, if we're looking at wealth in a way that there's not enough to go around, then we're always going to have a scarcity mindset. To which, whenever someone is winning, then we look at that person as if, like, that person is evil, that person is taking advantage, or, look at the poor, look at how, you know, they are suffering, and as if, like, the poor has no say in their economic situation. Now, when we're looking at the educational, or when we're looking at the education system, it's not really, it doesn't really teach us anything about our entrepreneurship spirit. It doesn't develop that. It tends to stifle people in a way that, like, some of the, like, think about it this way, right? Think of all the subject that we used to have in high school. Like, do we even use half of it? Half of the topics that we used to study, half of the subject that we used to study in high school, do we even apply even like a smidget of it in real life right now? No. And I think that's like, you are thought in a way to just go out there and get a job. And now when automation comes in, a lot of these folks won't be able to compete. Like, trucking included, at some point will be automated. You have like, self-driving trucks is gonna be, at some point, it will be the norm. I mean, it might be like a good 20 years from now before the whole industry can adapt to it, like 20 to 30 years from now. But we have to understand, like, technology catch up very quickly. So then, what does that say to people? Like, all they can do all their life is trucking, right? I mean, look at the miners, when a lot of these, or miners or factories, when all these jobs were shipped overseas to, underdeveloped nations. These folks suffered a lot. And regardless how much Trump said that, he's bringing it back, this manufacturing and all the shit, right? I think it is happening. However, um, it needs to happen more. Not okay, you cannot have a lot of these manufacturing companies unless it's very diverse, unless there's what you call it, it's broken down. There's less monopoly on these manufacturing companies. Because otherwise, if the overhead cost is too big to operate, when you have like CEOs getting paid like millions of dollars to be the face of a company and whatnot, and then now they have to think about their bottom line is, oh, can they afford to pay workers over $15 an hour to make shoes? You know, and from one of the things that the virus has taught us, this whole pandemic, is that we can no longer afford to ship, to have our essential good to be made, you know, in far region like China or in the Pacific. So then, even though those manufacturing might come closer to home, but I don't think a lot of them is gonna remain be in the states. They're still, companies still gonna find ways to meet their bottom line. So now let's even break it down to not just the factory, the big corporation alone. What if you are a small business owner, right? You just want to start your own manufacturer. Let's say that, okay, with this pandemic, mask is essential, right? And then you want to start a small mask manufacturing company. Like operation could be like what, like 5, 10 people produce mask. And you want to come up with a design that the mask got to look interesting, different patterns and so on and so forth. You know, can you honestly be able to pay 5, 10 people, like $15 an hour to produce mask, which a lot of these labor laws apply, they're intensified, and then you're not making as much product to keep up with the demand of people ordering masks from you. Or if you have an option, you're gonna open up a small factory somewhere, let's say in Haiti, and then to which it costs you the fraction of the cost. It costs you the fraction of what you would actually pay employees over here to produce masks. It's not all the way up in China, but it's actually closer to home. So now, a middle class person, someone with a let's say you have a, your you have a net worth of say $500,000. You can actually afford to have a small manufacturing business in a third world country, or that is developing, that is trying to develop and stuff like that. In a way, that would be a good investment, but it would be hard for you to do it there. So now, not having that type of mindset, once automation comes in, it's going to be very hard for everybody to compete. So what the government is going to end up doing is pretty much just give you a stipend, um, you know, like a welfare check for you to just sit on your ass to not cause trouble. But what about those who actually wants to remain economically competitive in the market, wherever the new frontier takes us? You know, so that's why I say that the whole education system is obsolete, because what is the point now for kids to go to college and get a degree to which by the time they graduate, the 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 industry that they're searching already moved on. When you're looking at technology, it's catching up at a very rapid rate. So if going to school for computer science, and then now when you try to go to a tech firm and trying to apply for a job based on what you've learned in school, you might be already like a year behind because of the new software that's already installed. And now you already in debt and you have to take a entry level position, and then you are now compete with people that actually learn how to code on Udemy. You know, you learning how to code on let's say with just YouTube tutorials. So then what's the point of actually now going to school and being in debt just to learn how to code? And a lot of companies now don't even want to hire people from college because of the way that college student has been trained, the way that they have been driven towards a socialistic type of mindset. You know, like if I have a choice, right? Am I gonna hire like some kid that that have been coding for a long time just so he could fuck around with video games, and then try to, or learning how to code online, or learning IT online, versus some kid that had gender studies as part of the curriculum? I'm gonna hire the kid that never went to college, you know, because less headache. I don't have to worry about all these BS they're gonna bring into the environment because that's what their social study professors tell them, that the world is owe you something. No, but also we have to look at it this way: like companies are shifting from employing people from the whole 1040 type of tax law to 1099. What I mean by this is like, okay, 1040, that's like when you are an employee. 1099, that's when you are a contractor. So that would be more like a specialist or self-employed. So you are the one responsible to fill out your own taxes, to do everything that you need to do. And because companies can no longer afford to provide you with that job security, which that was prevalent in the industrial era. So our mindset needs to change from an industrial age to an information age. You can learn to invest now just with instruction on YouTube and all these other type of videos that you can actually watch to grow your mind. But what do people do? Most people don't want to have to learn none of that shit because to them it's like they feel their job's always going to be there. You know, so what I can, I guess, encourage people, right, and that is something I'm also going through right now with as far as transitioning from just being an employee to using my employment as a vehicle to get what I need to be financially independent. So then therefore, instead of turning your fiat currency, turning your income into buying more trash that you don't need, why don't you invest some of that money? You know, like one of the people that inspire me is one of my friends, right? Like this kid, he only had like regular jobs, working at AutoZone, things like that, and yet he owned 15 minutes because what he ended up doing is like he you know he started buying house when the first crash happened in 2008. Actually, the yeah, 2008 housing crash, right? So then his dad helped him out with a down payment, get his first house and all that stuff. So start to rent it out, right? And then working at AutoZone or just having a regular job, that itself is enough to continue to build his credit. So then every 2 years or so, he'll get another house and another house. And then now he has like, five houses, about 15 units. And he's actually not even working right now. He's not working because his houses provide income for him. And that is someone that, we're able to use his employment as a vehicle to get what he wanted. And that's the type of mindset that is missing in our generation. Because I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense too, because not every baby boomer were thriving. Or a lot of them, even though they had high paying jobs or good paying jobs, they never took advantage of that situation to invest, to have, to build their asset in order to leave behind something for their kids. No, a lot of them, they look at it like, well, I'm getting good money, I'm getting great money. So then why not buy another car, honey? Why not take another vacation, honey? Why not do this? Why not do that? And therefore, now when their job security was taken away from them, when the when they were replaced by foreigners that's barely speak English but able to do their jobs, because let's face it, a lot of these jobs, even though they are somewhat complicated, but it can be learned by anybody. And that's where the fear comes in. That's where the rhetoric comes in. That's where the animosity towards foreigners comes in. These foreigners are taking our job. They're doing this. They're doing that. I mean, I do understand that fear. People operate through fear because they're looking at it like, well, you're taking away their livelihood, and the more people that can do what they do, then their job become obsolete. So now they have to. The fear is not because someone can do what they do. The fear is that they now have to learn something more They now have to learn. They have to now be more efficient at something else in order to actually stand out in the job market. Like for example, I was talking to Sirius last night when I mentioned carpentry. Um, Before, carpentry was a pristine job. It still is, but once it started being taken over by foreigners and stuff like that, and the market price for carpentry started to go down. And same thing's gonna be happening to plumbing. That's why it takes you about 4 years in order for you to get a plumbing license. You have to spend 4 years in apprenticeship. You have to take a whole bunch of class and all these different regulation in order for you to be a plumber. Not because plumbing is actually that difficult. It's not. It's just that they make sure that in order to protect the plumbing industry, they have to put a lot of regulation. So it makes it hard for people, for just any person, to just take the job away from the average middle class, because plumbers is a middle class job, right? But now, for those who are in the plumbing industry, in order for them to more secure their job, what do? They went into HVAC. HVAC is more complicated, right? So, and that's how it's gonna be. So, let's say that, for example, with trucking, right? The old head, the truckers and stuff, right? They were making a whole lot of money, or a lot more money than what I'm making now. But more and more people going into trucking, it actually now kind of reduce the price of trucking. So, and then now what tends to happen? You have more regulation. So more regulation means that only the big corporations can compete, can actually afford those regulations. You know, as working for a big company, I don't have to worry about being pulled over more than someone who actually owns their own truck, because they're looking at it this way. Well, you know what? I cannot harass the big corporations because I might, the state might become liable for suits and all that stuff. They have their own lawyers and everything, so on and so forth, right? But however, I can harass the regular trucker. I can find something that's, because their equipment is a little bit older, so then therefore they might not pass. They might not pass an inspection. That's why you see when I'm driving on the highway, I see regular truckers get pulled over a lot more than big corporation and big freight companies. So it's the same thing. Um, Corporation, they don't like the competition that's coming from small businesses. And as you can see, why do you think there's a huge why do you think there's a huge protest when against the shutdown? Because a lot of these small business owners, they cannot take the heavy toll. They cannot take the economic collapse that is happening to them. They cannot afford it. Well, Walmart's gonna be okay. A lot of the big corporations are gonna be okay, but the small mom and pop shop, how long you think they'll be able to remain closed? It's very difficult for them. So the shutdown benefit the big corporation. They might try to sell it to you from a humane perspective. They might try to tell you that, like, well, if you open up the economy, more people gonna die, more people gonna do this, more people gonna die. All you care about is money. Is that all you care about? Is money? How dare you? You know. But these are the folks that can actually afford to stay home for about like a good 6 months. These are the people that can still work offline. They don't realize that there are a lot of people that you know that actually depending on the restaurants being open, and therefore it's like, dude, how long do you think these people are gonna be able to last? All right, hold on a second, guys. Hold up. All right. Anyway, so oh wow, that was quick. They already finished with my load right now. So this was basically my perspective on the matter. Um, yeah, I think we need to start thinking from a information from an information perspective rather than an industrial mindset. And I think the in the future, A lot of people that's actually going to get into the competing into the manufacturing compartment will be able to actually take advantage of some of the smaller countries in the Western Hemisphere in order to actually, ship the manufacturing jobs and actually grow the small these countries' economy in a sense. You know, that's in the future. That's part of my plan to be able to actually have businesses in Haiti, to be able to actually invest in Haiti, and that this is one of the things that Big J brought up as well. Also eliminate competitions too. Yeah, it definitely eliminate competition. You know, so it's like, and whenever there's a economic crash, those who has the mean, they just get more wealth, right? And those who've been slacking off, who are more comfortable, they lose their wealth. So the wealth doesn't disappear; it just transfers. And it's unfair that most of the bailout help out the big corporation, but the big corporations are the one that make the rules. They're the one that actually make the laws that we follow because they pay the politicians. So then we can understand the game, or we can just complain about it. I say understand the game and do something about it. So then, whenever there's a economic situation, you might not be able to do a whole lot, but you can actually still put yourself in a position to which you can take advantage of it. Whether it's buying the house when they start going down, cheap houses and stuff like that, or you invest in the stock market when it's actually going, when you're hitting bottom line. You get those half off, sometimes even 60, 70% off. But anyway, I'm not staying for long. I gotta get going, guys. So thanks for coming through. I appreciate it. So this was a short one. Share, like, comment, and subscribe. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.